Welcome everyone, and welcome to this exclusive edition of the miEverest Owners Circle. And my God, it is exciting time, because last time we held a little bit of a webinar at this time on a Thursday night. It was, well, what horse are we going to be picking, and why haven't you picked a horse so far, and when are you going to pick a horse, and how late are you going to wait? You better get in quickly and pick a horse. Well, the miEverest Syndicate, that judging panel, they came up with Rothfire. So Mark Ward, Lizzie Chelfs, Dan O'Sullivan, and also Ty England, they said, no, Rothfire, the Rob Heathcote, Jimmy Byrne ridden horse will do for us, the thriller from Chinchilla. And I'm very, very glad to say it has worked out really well so far after that record race run in the Run to the Roses last Saturday at Rosehill Gardens. And the jockey joins us online, which is terrific, and Jimmy Byrne. G'day, Jimmy.
Good morning, TK. Afternoon, I should say, sorry.
Yeah, well, don't worry, I'm used to the mornings as well, buddy. So, hey, that must have been an exciting day. It was an exciting performance and a thrilling race, really.
Yeah, I going into the day, obviously you knew the horse hadn't stepped up to that level at that point. You're always confident that he would race creditably. Obviously, going into the race, that you got horses like, you know, Fun, and there's just so many good horses in the race and Group 1 winners. And I was more concerned that you know, that he because he wasn't 100%. He was definitely, there's plenty in the tank with him, and we'd missed trials. So that was my first concern. And thereafter, I was just had to have confidence in Rob, knowing what to do with the horse. And you know, he just showed that he's such a champion trainer. He knows his horses, and he was perfect on Saturday.
And it was strange because, you know, we're not allowed big crowds yet at the races, Jimmy. I don't know whether you could hear it, but there was a massive roar from the crowd because there's over 2,000 micro owners now involved in Rothfire, and many of them made their way to Rosehill Gardens, and it was really strange to hear such a cheer there at Rosehill.
Funnily enough, as I was walking out, you could hear them. They were all screaming out to me and telling me to give him what I've got, what he's got. And so it was, you know, I'm like, you kind of knew that there were quite a few micro owners there, and it was just, you know, it was just a really good day. But in the back of my mind, all I can think about is that's only step one. So for me, you know, that's only the first step, and you know, we've got a long road ahead of us. But you know, I'm confident in the horse's ability. I'm very confident in the way he's come through the race. So you know, that's our first step, and the Roses is our second.
So we've got Nature Strip remains the favourite for this $15 million TAB Everest on October 17 there at Royal Randwick. G-Tra second favourite, and Rothfire just nipping at their heels. But it was a pretty good first step. Now, I want to, many of our micro owners have fired in questions. I'll get to them, but I've got a few of my own first, if we can, Jimmy. Can you take us through the race? Because Rob at one stage said that Rothfire would lead this, and everyone thought, oh, lead Farnham. What did you think? What did you think as you came out of the barriers?
Well, he's always very, very quick on his feet, out of the machines. And first off, I thought, well, you know, if I set up a decent tempo, Farnham will sit off me. But it came, you know, I was pretty certain within 20 metres that wasn't going to be the case. That there was never going to be sitting off me. He was going to make me work. And I thought if I could just get him to switch off, and he did. He wanted to race Farnham for probably, you know, 20 odd metres, and thereafter he just sat and, you know, relaxed really good. So my biggest concern in the race, it wasn't that he wasn't going to lead. It was more that I didn't want to set it up for anything running over the top of it, because you've got so many good horses in the race, so many great 3-year-olds, and they are great 3-year-olds. They were beaten on Saturday, but there's so many horses coming out of that race that are going to race reels that are going to be hard to beat in the Roses. So for mine, I didn't want to get to the end of him. But still, you know, you've still got a job to do. The horse has got to go out there and perform. You've got to have confidence in Rob, which I do, that he knows exactly what he was doing. It even got to the stage where I was thinking the last 50 metres, I've got to keep him going because he hadn't hit the wall, no doubt. But you know, he's still got a job to do. You've got to make sure that they run through the line. And, you know, when he stopped the clock and how quick they ran, straight away I thought, well, okay, how'd the horse pull up? And he pulled up really good after the race. His recovery rate was really, really good. So, you know, Rob had him pretty near on perfect. I think he's going the same path as he did with the JJ. So that's 3 runs in. So for mine, you know, the horse couldn't be in a better place.
Yeah, and just for our micro owners who are listening as well, last year's winner, yes, actually went to the Run of the Rose, didn't win it. Actually went to the Golden Rose, where now Rothfire's the hot favourite. Didn't win that either, then came out and blew them away in the Everest as well. So that's a pretty good form line now for the 3-year-olds going forward. Huey's copped some stick, and I saw figures released, and it did look like a suicide pace, I guess, on first viewing at the track, Jimmy. But Dan O'Sullivan, who identified Rothfire, I've got to say, I think after its very first run as a 2-year-old, he said, look, it wasn't a suicide pace by Farnham.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's not for me to judge. I thought, as I said, when I jumped out and I set up a decent tempo, I went right through Farnham, and he's always got a pretty good tempo. I thought if I could set up a decent tempo that Huey would sit off, but you know, that was stern hard fast going to lead me, whether it be being on the bridle or not. I wasn't going to be able to go that sort of tempo and finish the race off. So you know, I thought though all I was going out there to do was ride my horse. Again, my biggest concern throughout the race was just I didn't want to take that sort of quality of the 3-year-olds up to a quality horse like Farnham as well. Even running at that sort of tempo, you know, the horse can run those sort of times. So my major concern was I didn't want to be leaving my horse flat. So I didn't want to chase him too much. I wanted to make sure that my horse was relaxed in the run, and he did that. And again, I've got huge confidence in going into the Roses that I'm on the best horse in the race, and you know, I know he'll come through it well, and then on to the Everest.
Yeah, well, they are the reports from Rob Heathcote, the trainer, and yourself, and the team that the horses come through it, ate up terrifically well on the Sunday, which is always a really good sign. And I mean, there's so many good things to come out of that. And I know it's only one race, but by the way, he has won a Group 1 before that, his previous start, and he's only lost 1 of his 8 starts so far. So there's a bit of a back catalogue. But just on that race, one is jumps like a greyhound, right?
Yes.
He can go early. He can lead if he wants. And the way he came back under you was outstanding and then relaxed. Then he carted the field up, right? A really classy field of 3-year-olds up, and he finished the race off. And they, you know, while they were making ground, they were probably entitled to make ground on you. So he's a long way from being just one-dimensional, this horse, Rothfire. Yeah,
definitely. And look, as I've said before, he did hit the wall at the 50, and that was the only time that they were actually making ground on him. So he's a no different horse to Farnham, where he's got that really good cruising tempo. You know, if we go forth and not even look at the Roses and we look at the Everest, you got a horse like Nature Strip that's got a really high cruising speed, and he's leads his races and sits, you know, right on speed, and he's not dissimilar horse to Rothfire, where the thing with Rothfire is that when he sits off him, he completely switches off. And he only wants to, the moment you ask him to engage and actually start to race him, he gets to him really, really quickly. So I think, you know, going into the Roses, again, I'm full of confidence about him. I'm a little bit nervous about jumping on him at the moment. I don't want to change anything. I actually seen him this morning, and I seen Mel, and Mel was nearly going to leg me up, and I literally said to her, "Oh no, look, I don't want to change anything with him, you know, because every time I jump on him, he knows he's going to work." So my major concern is I don't want to mess anything up with him. I want to make sure everything's perfect. And, you know, I mean, like, don't want to change anything. And you could just see him this morning. He's bright. He looks so great. So, you know, it's exciting times for me, that's for sure. And for all the micro runners, you know, I mean, like, my runners, they put this horse in. They picked this horse early. I'd like to say I picked him earlier than anyone because I picked him after his first trial. So, you know, he's a very exciting horse.
He certainly is. And to everybody watching our miEverest Owners Circle broadcast here, we're lucky enough to be chatting with the jockey of Rothfire in Jimmy Byrne. And there are still, well, we've got 2,000 people already involved in Rothfire as far as the miEverest campaign is concerned. There are still some slots available, so you can go to miEverest.com or you can go to myrunners /miEverest as well on the website there. You can still get involved in what's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day on October 17. Let's talk a little bit of a back catalogue about this horse, Jimmy, if we can. He was a cheapie. A remarkable story how Rob Heathcote, the trainer, bought into it, got stunned by an Ethiopian scam on the internet and had to pay twice for the horse. So he's ended up with 20%, which has worked out really good. When did you sit on it and go, my God, you know, I think we could have something here?
Yeah, you can't ride all the 2-year-olds going in. So I started watching a lot of trials and I picked him out of the trials. The young apprentice rode him at Doomben in his trial, and it was just very impressive in his trial. And I called Rob straight after it, and I actually said to him, you know, I'd really like to trial this horse and see if I can get on him. And he then subsequently went to Deegan, and Rob said, yeah, for sure, Jim, you know, I mean, we'd love you to jump on him. And I jumped on him in the trial at Deegan, and he was just so impressive. And for mine, it was, you know, I mean, like, he just had that air about him where he was just, everything was just so easy for him. Didn't really get too excited. This is for a baby that hadn't even, you know, done much. While they put a lot of leg work in them and a lot of education, babies generally have a little bit of bounce about them, but not this guy. He was just so laid back about everything. And thereafter, we went on, and obviously he Eagle Farm, and it was a crazy day, mainly because how many times they brought the horses into the paddock ready to go. We're all ready to go, and we had a massive storm come through, and so they took the horses back out of the paddock, and they brought them back in again, and something else happened. I think someone got injured, so the ambulance had to attend to that person. So they took them back out again, and all these 2-year-olds are bouncing around and they're sweating up, and this guy here, he would have barely had a bead of sweat on him. So I just said to Rob, he's amazing, this horse. He's how calm he is and how relaxed he was. He obviously came out and he won that day. And all the way through his races, even when early on, I was always confident that he wouldn't let him get past him. If you have a look at that race there, I put the whip away. I think I may have hit him twice, and got a kiss was running at him the whole time, and he just didn't want got a kiss to get past him. So he had that real fight in him. So it was like I said to Rob straight after the race, he's pretty smart, this horse. He's you know, he's not just a, you know, flash in the pan sort of horse. And sure enough, he's come out and he won 3 straight thereafter. I should say I won another one on him. I think he went out for a spell, and that's when subsequently I broke my leg. So Brad jumped on him and had a bit of fun on him for a while, and I'm just so glad to be back on.
Yeah. Jimmy, you don't want to bring up bad times, but we'll talk about that because the broken leg, it was over that sort of Christmas period, but you were pretty hungry to get back because of one particular horse. And at one stage, that leg was a bad break, and they thought you might not ever get back to it.
Yeah, straight after this brief, I should say, when I broke it, I think it was on the 18th of December, the doctor said, oh, look, it's a pretty bad break. You know, you'll be out for a good 3 months. And I just shook my head. I said, that's not going to happen. You know, there's no way. And he said, "Oh, look, it's a bad break. That's the minimum, 3 months." And so obviously after the surgery, you're sitting at home and there's nothing else to do. I mean, like, I'm quite I like to keep busy. I do a lot of things around the house. I do other things as well. So sitting around, it just doesn't sit well. So the only thing I could do was watch videos and just continue to do your form, like you're still working. But that's what I did, and for a good while. And I seen that I was still watching the videos, and I seen Rothfire nominated for the trials. So I ended up throwing the crutches in the car and raced down to the trials at Doomben, and seen Robbie Fradd on him, and Rob just laughed at me because he's seen me there, and obviously I wasn't in any shape to be jumping on. Robbie, straight after the trial, I said, "He's pretty smart, isn't he, Robbie?" And Robbie said, "Oh, Jimmy's a nice horse. He's a really nice horse."
Yeah.
Obviously, he's come out and he's raced well thereafter. 1-2 on him, and just got beaten at Jules. So I would never be holding onto his tail, but when the opportunity came up to jump back on him, I was over the moon.
Well, you know what a good horse feels like, mate. You know, plenty of Group 1s there. Gentleman Diem.
Yeah.
You've ridden an Everest winner in Red Zell, won a
Yes.
Doomben 10,000 for you. You weren't riding it in the Everest, but you rode it to a Doomben 10,000, probably the second most famous race in all of Queensland. And then, of course, Gold Edition. You had great success with Gold Edition and many others.
Yes.
I guess the obvious question you always ask is how does Rothfire measure up to some of those outstanding sprinters?
I was asked this a couple of weeks ago and even last week. It's really difficult to line those horses up. Obviously, General Nadim, that was a long time ago. So it's really showing my age. But he was just a powerhouse. This guy here is so much more laid back. He just takes things in his own stride. I always said that we were unsure about how he's going to line up against these better class horses. I know that he's got the quality there, and I know that after the weekend that the horse continually takes that next step. I always recall after I can't even remember the race. It was a Group 2 after I just come back at Eagle Farm, and I said to Rob, I said, "I don't think they actually realise how good this horse is." And he said, "Yeah, he's smart. He's very smart." And obviously, he just gives you that confidence. To all these other horses previously, I was only ever a flash in the pan jockey on them. I never had that full experience of with the horse as a baby, and then going on to as a 3-year-old. So this guy here, I've had that experience. So obviously, to watch him develop and improve and continually take that next step, I wouldn't say he's the best I've ridden just yet, but he's definitely putting him on a bit of a pedestal at the moment.
That's amazing. We're lucky enough on the miEverest Owners Circle, and there's over 2,000 individuals involved now in Rothfire come that miEverest slot come October 17 at Royal Randwick. We are so excited, particularly after what we saw in the Run to the Rose. And well done to the judging panel as well. That's Mark Waugh, Lizzie Jelfs, Dan O'Sullivan, and also Ty Anglin, who came out and made a decision nice and early to take Rothfire and have faith in Rothfire, Rob Heathcote, and also in jockey Jimmy Byrne. And Jimmy, who's joined us tonight, which is great. Can you take some questions I've got here from our micro slot owners?
Sure.
All right. Peter says, how will you celebrate if you win the Rose and also the Everest, says Peter?
I'm quite fortunate. I got my son down here.
Oh, okay.
So he's in the Navy down here. So I'll probably have a quiet beer with him because obviously we won't have as many people as we would generally have racing in these sort of races. But I think I'll probably save most of my celebrations for when I get back home. So you've got to. Hopefully they'll open the borders, but I don't anticipate that happening. But so let's just say I'll put it down in the bottom part of my belly, and when I get back home and I'm able to really celebrate with my family, I'll do it. And,
Well,
and
well, we'll touch on that now because, let's hope they do open those borders and we see some sense up there north of the border because it's a big sacrifice for yourself. Although it's a great horse, you've had to come down here by yourself, do it all solo, and then go back and quarantine if that is still the border being shut. This is Alan says this, and he's a little bit concerned. Was that run and the run to the Rose on the speed and the race chasing a long way from home? If there's another run like that, could it cook him before the Everest, says Alan?
Oh, look, I don't think so. I've always been very, very mindful of the races going forward. Obviously, going into that race, the Run to the Roses, that my first concern was, don't chase too early. I was very concerned about taking the field up to the leader. So straight away, I was making sure that I had plenty of horse underneath me, that it wasn't going to be, sure enough, we ran good time. But straight afterwards, his recovery rate was great. The horse looks fantastic this morning. So I don't think that we've cooked him by any way, shape or form. And, I've got complete faith in Rob and Mel. Someone like she's doing all his pace work. Complete faith in him. Look, the horse, he couldn't be brighter this morning. So no, I'm very confident that we'll get right through to the Roses, and then on to the Everest.
Yeah, fantastic. Chris says, what do you believe is the biggest challenge for Rothfire moving forward to Everest Day, and why?
I think after the weekend, I would have to say wet tracks. I don't think he's anywhere near his best on wet tracks.
He's won on a wet track, though.
No, but yeah, that correct. Yeah. But that was obviously when I was coming down, I was going back through and trying to do long range forecasts and all that sort of stuff. And he's been having so many wet tracks down here, and that was my biggest concern because I know that's his only defeat, and I never rode him that day, but that was in the duel behind Kisakano, and you could see him. I watched that race 50 times if I've watched it a single. He just never travelled well in the race. He was always floundering on it, and I just thought that day there. And keep in mind, the Gold Coast was it is a very tired track at the moment. So when you get onto those heavy, I think they rated it as a heavy 7. So that would have been a lot worse than even whilst I wasn't there on the day. I did watch all the races, and it looked like it was a lot worse than what they rated it. And so I do think any concern that I've got, it would be I would want it to be run on a good track.
Craig says this, first of all, fantastic ride. How did you feel when Bowman shot 6 in front on Farnham? Did you ever panic?
No, that's the last thing I was going to do.
Good question, mate.
Yeah, the main again, and I've said this before. This is only one step. We've got a long way to go through to the Everest. It's just like climbing it. I didn't want to burn him too much. Definitely didn't want to chase him. Just be confident that my horse, was going to be able to just do the times in your head and just count him down basically. And that was, my biggest concern is, hopefully he stops, and he did.
Another good question, this one from Mick, who's a miEverest micro slot holder. With Rothfire stepping up to 1,400 metres, the 3-week break, will that be a hindrance, says Mick? So some people think, 1,200, 1,400, then got to get freshened up for the 12.
No, I definitely do not think that. Obviously, going into Saturday Gone's run, the Run to the Roses, we said that all the way along that he was never going to be that 100% hard horse, and he was always going to have a lot of improvement coming out of it, and you could clearly see that, as I said, with the last 50 metres with him hitting the wall, so he's going to be primed for that 1,400 metres. Now coming beyond that, that 3-week freshen up, like even this week alone, You know, I'm only going to do a bit of evens on him in the morning. So it's, you know, he's going to have that 3-week freshen up. He's going to be cherry ripe. The horse, you can clearly see that Rob's tried to stick to that same path he has with the horse previously. So I got complete faith in him.
I reckon the horse pulled up better than Rob did on
Yeah, I did see a video. He was definitely celebrating, and hopefully we can get a lot drunker.
Jimmy, it was the biggest glass of red wine I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Half his luck. I
Yes.
would have been doing exactly the same, don't worry. Michelle says this, and again, it's another good question from one of our micro slot owners. As Rothfire is a 3-year-old, what makes him the sort of horse for this kind of race, especially one that has just turned the age of 3, and considering it's a high-class field of runners, says Michelle. Good question, Michelle. Some of those old hard nut sprinters who've been around for a while, they're hard to get by, but a few of them are missing this year.
Yeah, look, obviously Senna in a lane hasn't got a slot yet, but I think it's only a matter of time to get up. You know, Nature Strip, look, they've got to give me weight. At the end of the day, he's going around at 53 kilos, and he can run good times. So I'm very, very confident going in, and I'm more than confident going into that Everest that they'll be concerned about Rothfire rather than me being concerned about them. So, you know, I would think that they'd be thinking the hardest horse to beat is him.
And I guess that sort of goes a little bit further to the point of his makeup, which you've actually described. But is there something? His attitude seems fantastic. His demeanour seems good. He must have a good constitution. He's obviously got all those tick, 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 tick. Is there something a little that you can't see that makes him so special?
Yeah, I've got to say, just before we came down, I worked him, and Rob only wanted me to do a bit of evens on him, and I think we ran up in 28, and there was a galloper up in front of him. He just likes to race. The horse he doesn't like anything getting past him. So the moment you give him that little bit of rein, I think he's just a real competitor. He really likes to race. So, and you can clearly see all the way through, you know, he's got that real dogged, not getting past me sort of attitude. So he's just a you know, really beautiful animal to ride. And again, I'm just so thrilled I'm on him.
Yeah, that's terrific, mate. Terrific. So that was like dress rehearsal number 1, really, the Run to the Roses, because everyone was waiting for it to come out, you know, and then all these outstanding 3-year-olds. Part 2, not for you, but for a lot of other Everest runners, comes up on the weekend, the shorts, right? Yeah. So you've got Bivouac, Classique Legend, Catalyst Standout. You've got Eduardo there. It's one of those races we're going to learn a lot more about the Everest, aren't we?
Oh, correct, without a doubt. And Bivouac's going to be awfully hard to beat on Saturday, so obviously he's going to come into contention. You know, look, again, I got to say, you know, I'm not going to really worry about anything else before we even get near the Everest. There's a lot of water to go underneath the bridge. I think for us, for me, definitely, I just keep my eye on the prize, one step at a time. Coming up a fortnight, I should say, next weekend, we have the Roses, so let's get him onto that and hopefully win that, and then move forward. Obviously, we start worrying about the other slot holders when they're announced, and obviously start doing the videos and form and doing as much work before the race as we do.
When I say it's a bit of a personal sacrifice for you, I mean, nothing would get you off this horse. I understand that, but you've had to come down to Sydney early. You know, you're down here by yourself virtually. Not a lot of rides sort of happening. A lot of lonely time, I imagine. Then the prospect of maybe doing the 14 days if you go back to Queensland. While it's a sacrifice, I guess it must give you rejuvenate your entire career in a way, just to have a special horse. Jockeys live for a special horse, don't they?
Oh, without a doubt. For me, it was always going to be a difficult decision. It was a decision that I knew I would make. but you know, it's just a matter of getting there and just saying, yeah, we're going to do it. We've all the way through my career, there's been times when I haven't taken advantage of those opportunities that have come, and you know, I haven't regretted that, because obviously I've always been about my family. It's always been about my family. At the end of the day, I've got to do the right thing. My career is one thing, but my family's always going to be their careers, and obviously my family don't. So it's always, my first thought was, okay, well, how am I going to adjust not having my family around, not being able to go home and vent to my wife, and you know, things, obviously it's a race, a race meeting, so things go wrong. That was always going to be the biggest sacrifice, is not having that home space to go to. But look, it's for a very short period of time, and the first thing my wife said was, if he is as good as what you think he is, would you be able to live with yourself? And I said, no, there's no chance I'd be able to do that again. So, you know, it was a pretty easy decision thereafter. It was just a matter of just acknowledging it and saying, yeah, we're going.
So you're here with her blessings, which is the family blessings, which is a terrific thing, Jimmy, which is great. And just a final one from me, mate. It's about Queensland. It's about time they sort of had I'm not going to call him a champion, right? But it's about time they had a iconic sort of horse, you know, the Thriller from Chinchilla, a cheap who sort of, won the JJ Atkins, which is a really good horse's race, and has now won the Run of the Rose in record time. It's nice for a state to sort of have I'll call him a cult hero. How's that? Not a champion. Yeah,
look, he's definitely not a champion yet.
No.
But look, you know, he's a damn good horse. I know that.
Yeah.
So I know he's got a lot of cult following at the moment, and it's it's without a doubt, it's great for us, the Queenslanders, to have a horse like him. That's literally going to really give us a decent shot, give us a real good shot at the best sprinting race in the world. So, you know, I mean, like, it's I couldn't be prouder to be on his back. That's for sure.
You've got your normal owners there, Jimmy, with Rothfire and Rob Heathcote, and you've also got now 2,000 new owners who are on. They're only owners for miEverest Day, but it feels like they're on this ride. It's been a wonderful journey for them so far. There are still some slots available, so you can still go and you can still be part of this unique concept of, pretty good if your first foray into ownership is a runner with a live chance in the richest race in the world. So go to that website, go to myrunners.com/miEverest or miEverest, and you'll find your opportunity of getting involved, which is going to be a bumper day come October 17th. Jimmy, thanks so much for your time, mate. And again, much appreciated, mate.
Thank you so much, TK, and my runners. And honestly, everyone should really get involved, get on his back, because we've only got 53 kilos. We're going to give him a real good run.
You're a champion. Good on you, Jimmy. And just speaking of that too, we'd like to thank Badge of Honour merchandise and apparel as well for providing the miEverest vest. We'll have to get you out one, Jimmy.
Sounds good.
As well. Although the mornings are getting a little bit warmer, aren't they now? But terrific, mate. Thanks again, Jimmy Byrne.
Thank you, guys.
There goes. That's our My Owners Everest. I hope you enjoyed it, Jimmy, giving you a wonderful insight to Rothfire's chances, not only in the Golden Rose coming up, but then the miEverest on October 17. Thanks again.